The Community Building Award. And again, thank you so much for honoring me for being part of this 55th year anniversary celebration. The East-West Center truly has been the center of building relations across the Pacific. Mahalo.
As the East-West Center looks back on our 55-year history, we remember one of the projects incubated at the East-West Center in the mid-1970s. It was the Polynesian Voyaging Society, which resulted in the rebirth of traditional nautical navigation skills in Hawaii. Partnering with University of Hawaii anthropologist Ben Finney, Herb Kawainui-Kane, Tommy Holmes, and others, the East-West Center, through the connections of Center Director Greg Trifonovich, identified Master Navigator Mau Piailu from Satawal Atoll in Micronesia. Mau was invited to come to Hawaii to provide guidance and to share his knowledge of traditional navigation methods. The historic voyaging canoe Hokulea was a product of that partnership. Over the years, the Hokulea came to represent the pride and accomplishments of the Native Hawaiians and all Polynesian people. Its educational impact on Hawaii and the world continues today as the Hokulea makes its historic voyage around the globe. Now, you may have caught the latest on the voyage. Hokulea sailed the longest open ocean leg in the canoe's history, more than 2,300 miles, across the Indian Ocean. And during that trip, Nainoa, back here on Oahu, worried about the rough weather that we call the messy seas and the possibility of massive rogue waves. And I saw his concern about the crew and the canoe when I was at the Thompson family property in New Valley, interviewing Nainoa for a long story short episode on PBS Hawaii. Nainoa's brother-in-law was out there captaining Hokulea and now has landed safely near Africa. Let's listen.
Hello, good morning. From beautiful Mauritius Island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. This is Bruce Blankenfeld aboard Hokulea. We spotted the lights of Mauritius, oh my gosh, it was last night about like maybe 8 or 9 p.m. The weather was really lousy for the last 2 or 3 days out here trying to find the island. And just shifting all over the place. And getting weak, strengthened a little, pushing us south, cloudy. We had fun. But anyway, so this is the last day of sailing on our voyage across the Indian Ocean. The crew is healthy and doing well. Va'a Kaulua Hokulea is doing well. She's healthy also. And our companion vessel and their crew, the Gershon, are also doing fine. So thank you folks for following us. And now we're getting ready for transition to turn over the canoe to the next leg, where they'll leave here as soon as they're able, probably the latter part of the month, early October, and head off to Cape Town. So please keep following us on hokulea.com.
Great job getting to Mauritius, and he is a master of understatement. When he says lousy weather or it was fun, right, Nainoa? He's saying a lot. Well, tonight we are gathered to honor a man who has committed his life to preserving and promoting ancient navigational skills and showing that historic knowledge can have an important impact in today's world. The man, of course, is Nainoa Thompson, who tonight will receive the East-West Center's Asia Pacific Community Building Award. Please turn your attention to the screens once again as we view a short clip taking us back in time a bit, and then we go forward to Nainoa's recent comments about his work with the East-West Center.
In 2014, the Polynesian Voyaging Society and the voyaging canoe Hokulea will embark on a voyage around the world. A 47,000-mile, 36-month voyage to 24 countries with 68 planned landfalls. We sail for peace, for the love of our planet, and with the desire to leave the children of the world a hopeful, healthy future. To understand Hopulea is to go back in time to the origin of Polynesia itself.
It goes back 7,000 years ago, where the first really oceanic people came out of China, and came out of Taiwan. Thousands of years after that, spreading through the Pacific Islands in Melanesia, even in Indonesia. Then you get to Polynesia, this oceanic country bounded by Hawaii in the north and New Zealand in the southwest, and Rapa Nui in the east. 10 million square miles, 600 times more water than this land, biggest country on earth, bigger than Russia. And it was discovered by these extraordinary people. And I say extraordinary because you could argue that they were really the astronauts of our ancestors. They were the greatest explorers on the face of the earth.
Today, as we struggle with the depletion of natural resources, the degradation of our land, heavens, and oceans, and conflicts that result from overconsumption, we believe that ancient wisdom can and will inspire contemporary solutions. Since her launching in 1975, Hopulea has sailed 135,000 nautical miles throughout Polynesia to Micronesia, Japan, and the west coast of the continental United States. What began as an effort to disprove critics who doubted Polynesians' ability to sail purposefully, unaided by navigational instruments, has grown into a cultural reawakening, a living commitment to sustainability, and a movement to bring experiential, value-based, community-grounded education to the forefront.
As the Hawaiian culture is re-emerging, rediscovering, re-strengthening, that's not a common story around the world. That is a story that is unique. There are cultures and languages that have been lost every single day across this planet. This voyage intensely is supposed to honor, is supposed to celebrate, and is supposed to strengthen all cultures on the planet by respecting them.
Investment is not investment for a monetary reward at the end. You're not going to cash in on this and say, all right, now I have this much money. It's an investment in the earth. It's an investment in the future. It's an investment in keeping traditions and resources and knowledge and learning alive for the future generations.
If you come from the lens of what the canoe is supposed to do, it will do nothing if the tide don't dock. We're not going to change the world, but we're going to go and build a network of people around the earth who are going to change it. And our job is to help them be successful.
Community, and I just try to be with them and evolve and grow and try to be around those who are setting the right course for a 21st century that's going to need Hawaii to be really a beacon for the planet. I've worked with the EWC Center for decades in different kinds of programs. The one that has been most influential to me, the one that I've learned the most from is the Asia Pacific Leadership Program. Asia Pacific Leadership Program is a real, it's like a starlight for me. It's like a beacon for me. It tells me the possibilities and how to navigate it so that, it's become core to, when our decision to go around the world, we needed the global community. That was the first place we went to, the EWC Center. EWC Center, the first place we went to and said, help us with this. We know we need to know the earth, but we don't know how to do it. The EWC Center really became the hub for which we could go to find people that had the connections to the countries that we're going to go to. And it was vital, because it was through them that we had the ability to build the kinds of relationships, whether it was governmental, whether it was community, whether it was even stuff like port logistics, and then cultural and educational and environmental. And so the East-West Center, by that alone, I guess what I'm saying is the worldwide voyage is yeah, it might be 12 people at a time sailing Hokulea around the world, but there's 2,000 people behind this, and the East-West Center's core. And so again, the award is to me, it mirrors those relationships, it mirrors the importance of making connections around the world as a responsibility for humanity trying to find the core route to peace. And the East-West Center is vital for that.
I don't know if you caught that first part when Nainoa said he's not a community builder. Oops, no, we disagreed. He's very humble about that. We understand what you're saying, standing behind your teachers. You know, it is so nice to have many of the Hokulea crew members with us tonight, as well as representatives of the East-West Center's Asia-Pacific Leadership Program who have participated with the Hokulea. Would all voyagers and crew members please stand up and be recognized? I'd now like to ask the chairman of the East-West Center Board of Governors, Rick Tsujimura, East-West Center President Charles Morrison, and the evening's honoree, Nainoa Thompson, to come to the stage. And as they walk up to this side of the room, please note the beautiful engraved Tiffany crystal bowl created especially for this occasion. Dr. Morrison, Mr. Tsujimura.
Hello, my kako. The video is correct. My relationship with the East-West Center is long. I remember my dad, a veteran of the European War, came home and fought for peace and for freedom. And as a young boy, a little bit older than my son, you would hear the word Cold War. You would hear the fear in the cold that we're going to go back to war. That on the earth, countries and nations don't trust each other. There's no foundational belief that we can come together and find peace. That is the same time that the East-West Center was born. It was like a David and Goliath. It was a center that was born out of extraordinary vision, extraordinary beliefs, by extraordinary leadership. Governor Ariyoshi was part of that. And I remember my dad at home when he would be in the peripheral, would sense that the East-West Center was a place of hope. It was a place that fundamentally believed that you could bring people together around the Pacific and create a humanity story that really would engender and push back against the cold fear. That there would be a place that would be where we could find that hope of peace, and it's in Hawaii.
Governor Ige is correct. Because I don't know, and I'd say this with all humility, because I haven't traveled much in the world, mostly by canoe. But I've never found a place like Hawaii, where my mom, in her brilliance as a mother, would drop us off at a Nisei Japanese man's house, who was the delivery milkman for my grandfather's dairy, back when there was no supermarkets. And in his house, everything was Japanese. You ate Japanese food, you bathed in the food oil, you sat out for dogs, but everything outside was Hawaiian. And Yoshi Kawano was the essence of bridging Hawaiian culture and his ethnicity as being Nisei from Japan in such a beautiful way. But what happens to the child when you're in that kind of experience? I want to know, when do children learn values? When do the core beliefs that navigate our children to do what they're going to do in the world, when is it taught? I believe it's young. And the Yoshi Kawano, that old wooden house, is like the East-West Center. I already knew it, because I felt it. Because in Yoshi's house, it was like the East-West Center. Over there, everything was built on respect and care and aloha. And in Yoshi's house, you were safe. East-West Center is the Vaipana. It's sacred. East-West Center is the Pu'ohonua. It's where we are safe. I know, because in there, the spirit of that center, that place, is very different. It's unlike any other place. When you go in and inside, in the big door, you go inside, you know that you're at a place that is one that generates the power of peace. And it's in a place that you can believe it. The East-West Center and its voyage needs to find its island, the destination for global peace. East-West Center, I don't believe, to Governor Ariyoshi's, Governor Ige's remarks, I think it has to be in Hawaii. Yes, geographically. Yes, it makes sense. We're in the center of the Pacific, between the East and the West. But I don't know of any other place in the world that has the Yoshi Kawanos and the many Yoshi Kawanos of many, many different diverse ethnic groups, where there is acceptance, where there's respect, and there's aloha from the core. I don't know if the East-West Center could be successful anywhere else. So when Governor Ige speaks about the belief that we can generate world peace, then we need to believe that. That Hawaii is destined. It's destined to come together, bring humanity together, where they can build trust, where you can build faith, and you can build aloha. And so, I'm deeply honored to accept such a special award. In all humility, I'm honored that my mother is here, that she brought my family here. I'm honored that Hank Rogers brought the Voyaging family here. And I'm deeply grateful to my wife, Kathy. I let the two children stay here with me tonight, even though they should be in bed. And to thank her for being such an extraordinary mother, of love and care for those two little ones. And to the presidents, and to Governor Ariyoshi and Governor Cayetano, and Governor Ige, Senator Kaka, and the many, many others here, thank you for being here. The East-West Center needs to find its island, because when it finds a destination, it's going to help the world to come together at a very difficult time. So to all of you, I'm humbled and And I'm blessed on behalf of all of our voyaging family that this award is for, and mahalo to you all.
Please be seated. You know, if you're not convinced of Nainoa's charisma, I have another little story to tell you. You know, East West Center isn't just a place of scholarship. It's also a place sometimes of romance. And we had a young student, two students, APLP students, who met at the East West Center, fell in love, and they had a baby. And the baby's name is Nainoa. And now we're doing something a little bit different than we've done with any other awardee. We're asking him for a little extra duty because we have a very special guest with us. Special today, but even more special next year when he comes back to Hawaii for the World Conservation Congress. This is Minister Zhang Shen, the President of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. And the Conservation Congress is this organization's flagship activity, and it's being held for the very first time in the United States. Like many Chinese leaders, he wears many hats, and I had to write them down here because there's so many. He is the co-founder and chair of Eco Forum Global. He is the president of the China Education Association for International Exchange. He is the vice president for the International University Sports Federation. He is a member of the 11th Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. And he has been vice minister of education in China. He's been chair of the UNESCO Executive Committee. He has been the two-time mayor of Suzhou City in China. He has been a deputy to the 7th and 8th National People's Congress. He has been vice president of the China Olympics Committee and the vice chair of the China National Tourism Administration. Minister Zhang was also one of the very first Chinese students